The day my son-in-law called my quilt garbage and my own daughter agreed, I stayed silent. But that silence wasn't weakness. It was the sound of my heart cracking open in 1,000 invisible pieces. I had always been the mother who gave everything without keeping score. After my husband passed away 15 years ago, it was just me and my daughter in our small house on the edge of town. I worked double shifts, skipped meals, and saved every extra penny so she could have the life I never did. When she brought home her husband, a confident, successful man with polished shoes and big plans, I welcomed him like a son. I thought, finally, my girl is safe. Finally, she has someone to share the warmth I tried so hard to build for her. For their first anniversary and their beautiful new apartment, I wanted to give them something no store could sell. I spent 4 months making that quilt. Every night after work, I sat under the soft glow of my old lamp, stitching memories into every square. There were pieces of her baby blanket, scraps from my wedding dress, even a bit of the blue curtains from the apartment where we once danced through power outages and laughed until we cried. The pattern was simple, but full of love, soft creams and gentle blues that felt like a hug. When I finished, I folded it carefully, tied it with a ribbon I had saved for years, and carried it to their home like it was made of gold. That evening, the table was set with expensive plates and wine I couldn't pronounce. I placed the quilt in my daughter's hands and said, voice trembling with joy, "This is for both of you, to keep you warm on the coldest nights, the way I always tried to keep our little family warm." My son-in-law unfolded it slowly. His smile faded into something amused, almost pitying. "Babe," he said with a short laugh, "look at this. It's garbage. Who even uses handmade quilts anymore? We have heating systems, not old rags like this." My daughter glanced at him, then at me. For half a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Hesitation, maybe? But then she smiled the same way he did and said, "Mom, it's really sweet of you, but yeah, it's a little old-fashioned. Maybe we can find somewhere else for it." I felt the floor tilt beneath me. My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. Shattered doesn't even come close to what I felt. But I stayed silent. I forced a gentle smile and whispered, "Oh, it's all right, darlings. I understand." Inside, I was destroyed. But what I didn't know that day was that this tiny moment was only the first thread unraveling. The real betrayal was still coming, and it would test every bond I thought could never break. In the weeks that followed, I tried to carry on as if nothing had happened. I baked their favorite lemon cake for birthdays. I watched their little dog when they traveled. I even helped them pick out curtains for their living room. But the small cuts kept coming. Every visit, my son-in-law would make comments in front of guests. "Your mom's gifts are always so quaint," he'd say with that same half smile. My daughter would laugh softly and nod, as though agreeing was the easiest way to keep peace in her marriage. I heard her once on the phone. "I know, but she's my mom. What am I supposed to say?" Then their luck turned. His business hit trouble, a bad investment, he called it. Suddenly, they were behind on bills. One rainy afternoon, my daughter came to my door, eyes downcast. "Mom, we just need a little help to get through the month. We'll pay you back as soon as things turn around." I gave them the money from the savings I had guarded for years. Family comes first, I told myself. Always. They started visiting more often after that. At first, I thought it was love, but I began noticing how they looked around my simple home, at my worn couch, my old teacups, the faded photographs on the wall. "Mom's place is so vintage," my son-in-law would joke, and my daughter would add, "Yeah, we should help her update things one day." The worst nights were the ones I spent alone after they left. I would sit on the edge of my bed, the quilt I had kept for myself draped over my lap, and let the tears fall quietly. How had the little girl I carried through fevers and heartbreaks grown into someone who could dismiss me so easily? Had I failed her? Had my love become something embarrassing? The pain lived in my chest like a stone I couldn't swallow. Yet, in that same quiet darkness, something else began to grow, a tiny, steady flame of clarity. I started seeing the pattern. They took my help, my time, my money, but they never truly saw me. I was the background, the safety net, the old-fashioned mom who could be laughed about behind closed doors. One evening, I overheard them through the kitchen window while I was bringing in groceries. My son-in-law said, "Your mom's crafts are cute and all, but we can't keep pretending they fit our life." My daughter replied, "I know, I just feel bad saying it to her face." That was the moment the shift inside me became complete. The heartbreak didn't vanish, but it transformed. I stopped rushing to help unasked. I joined a small quilting circle at the community center, women my age who understood the language of stitches and stories. For the first time in decades, I felt seen, valued. When they asked me to babysit my granddaughter so they could attend a fancy work dinner, I went. But when I arrived with a tiny handmade rattle I had stitched just for her, my son-in-law rolled his eyes again. More homemade stuff? I smiled softly and said nothing, because I had already decided my silence had lasted long enough. The true turning point came 3 months later. Their financial troubles had grown bigger than they admitted. One Sunday evening, they both sat at my kitchen table, faces pale. My daughter reached for my hand. "Mom, we need a real loan this time, enough to save the house. We're family, please." I looked at them both for a long moment. My voice, when it finally came, was calm and steady, the way a mother's voice should be when she has nothing left to prove. "Do you remember the quilt I made for your anniversary?" I asked. "The one you called garbage?" I sat night after night stitching every piece with love, pieces of our life together, of the home I built for you when it was just us. I gave it to you because I wanted you to feel wrapped in that same love every single day. But your words showed me something I had been too blind to see. They showed me that my love was being treated like something disposable. My daughter's eyes filled with tears. My son-in-law opened his mouth, but no words came. I continued gently. "I have spent my whole life giving without limits, but I have also learned that giving without respect slowly destroys the giver. So this time, I'm choosing me. I've been selling my quilts online through the craft group. They're doing well, better than I ever dreamed. The money I have now is for my future, for the peace I finally found. I won't be your safety net anymore." The silence that followed was heavier than any insult they had ever thrown at me. In the months that came, they had to sell their expensive furniture, move to a smaller place, and learn to stand on their own. It humbled them in ways money never could. My daughter came to see me alone one quiet afternoon. She cried in my arms and whispered, "I was wrong, Mom. I let his words become mine. I betrayed you, and I'm so sorry." I held her and forgave her, because love is still love. But I kept my new boundaries. Some threads once broken are stronger when rewoven carefully. Today, that original quilt hangs in my little craft room, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof of my worth. The women in my circle admire it. Strangers message me saying it inspired them to start their own projects, and I sleep peacefully under a new one I made just for me. If there is one thing I want you to carry from my story, it's this. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or cruel. It is simply choosing yourself after betrayal. It is realizing that your love, your time, and your heart are precious and refusing to let anyone treat them like garbage. Family is a beautiful gift, but self-respect is the thread that holds your entire life together.